Hi and welcome back. We're so glad you're here. My name is Nicole with morningchores.com, and today we're talking about a beginner's guide to successional planting. I thought this would be a great time to talk about this topic because usually this is the time of year that we plant our fall gardens. Some of you may be 2 weeks behind, others may be 2 weeks ahead, but needless to say, this is the best time to be doing this. So fall planting has a lot to do with successional gardening. In today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about what successional planting is and how you can implement it in your garden. So what is successional planting? Successional planting is planting crops in a continuous manner, one set after the other, to gain the most out of your garden. The purpose of successional planting is to extend your growing season in your garden and to acquire more produce at harvest time. Successional planting has been around for thousands of years. It was a necessity back in the day before electricity and before the mass production of food. Families depended on successional planting for their livelihood, for their survival. They had to plant produce year-round. But this is something that a lot of gardeners are going back to and trying out because there's a lot of benefits to it. So let's talk about some examples of successional planting. In our garden this year, we did 2 sets of potato planting. I did the first set of potatoes in our raised bed, and I planted these in the month of May. Exactly 1 month later, I planted another set of potatoes directly in the ground in another place in our garden, and I planted these in the month of June. So I planted them 1 month away from each other, and I did this so that I could acquire more potatoes in the harvest time. We harvested our first set of potatoes about a month ago, and if you missed that video, I will link it in the description box below. And our second set are about ready for harvest about a month later. So I'm really excited about this because I should have twice as many potatoes, which should last me longer during the winter season. Last year, we only planted 1 set of potatoes, and those potatoes lasted us to the end of February, beginning of March. But this year, because I did twice as many potatoes with successional planting, I should have potatoes well into March, maybe into April. So as you can see, there's a lot of benefits to this. It really wasn't that much more work to plant a second set of potatoes, and now I'm going to have double the harvest, which will last longer and feed my family for a longer period of time. Another good example of successional planting is with lettuce. Lettuce is a really good one for this because usually you can plant your first batch of lettuce 2 weeks before the last frost date in the spring. Once you have that planted, then you wait 2 weeks and plant another set, wait 2 more weeks and plant another set. And by doing this, you extend the season of your lettuce so that you can harvest more lettuce for a longer period of time. Now you're probably asking, where do I start with all this? Yes, it can be a little overwhelming, but I promise you, once you kind of get the hang of it, it's really simple. The first place to start is you need to figure out when is your last frost date in spring and when is your first frost date in fall. This is going to help you determine when to start succession planting. Once you figure out the date, like I said, with lettuce, you can start your first batch of lettuce 2 weeks prior to the last frost date in spring, then start it on the last frost date, and then 2 weeks later you can start another batch. But this will give you a starting point of when in the season to start succession planting. Figuring out when the frost dates are is really dependent on your geographical location. So in the description box below, I will link some websites down below where you can figure out when yours are, because it really depends on where you live. The next item to consider is what to plant with your successional gardening. I think the best place to start with this is what grows best in your area. For me, things that grow really well in my area are lettuce, potatoes, and onions. These plants are an easy way to start with successional gardening. But what grows well in your area? What's easy to grow? This is a great place to start. Another way to figure out what to plant with successional gardening is, what do you like the best? What does your family eat the most? Maybe your family loves lettuce and you can never grow enough lettuce to feed your family. So maybe start successional planting with lettuce and see how that goes. Maybe your family loves potatoes. Ask your family, what do they like to eat the most out of the garden, and try those things. The next aspect to consider with successional planting is when is the best time to successional plant. Now, we did talk a little bit about this with figuring out when your frost dates are, your last frost date in the spring and your first frost date in the fall, and that's a good starting point, but you don't have to necessarily successional plant around those times. You do want to keep it kind of close, but you can successional plant usually in spring into early summer and then late summer into early fall. Those are the best times to try your hand at successional gardening. If you're still feeling stuck or overwhelmed or you're just not really sure, there's lots of successional planting charts online, and I found some really great ones that I will link in the description box below. But these really lay it out for you, and just by following what they say will kind of help you get started. Then once you've done this for 1 or 2 growing seasons, you'll start to get a feel for what you like, what you don't like, and then you maybe build a little bit of confidence to try something new with your successional planting. For those of you watching this video who do successional planting or have tried it, share with us in the comment section below what crops work best for you. It always helps to hear some feedback and we can learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something and it inspires you to get out there and try successional planting. You can follow us at morningchores.com where you'll find all kinds of information on homesteading, gardening, DIY, and much, much more. Hope you all have a wonderful week and we'll see you next time.